What is up, knuckleheads? Knuckles up, or Michael here, and today I'm back with a brand new video. In this one, I'm going to be stepping outside my usual realm of YouTube and hopping into the world of esports. While I keep esports off this channel for the most part and try to segregate it to my Twitter, go follow me on Twitter by the way, esports is a passion of mine. For those that don't know, for the last 4.5 years, I have been competing in esports tournaments in a variety of different games, primarily Call of Duty and Super Smash Bros. I've also dabbled in other games like coaching for Overwatch, playing FIFA tournaments, and also, believe it or not, niche games like Super Mario Strikers. It's safe to say that I love esports. Now today I want to go over some terminology within the industry. These two words often get tossed around synonymously, and I think a lot of people don't quite understand what they mean and how they should be used. Like in any competition, esports is no stranger to insane moments, massive comebacks, and crazy hype. Oftentimes, moments where the jaws of defeat are looming on a team and miraculously they are able to pull it off is known as both a clutch and a choke. For the team that somehow managed to pull their way back into a game, it is a clutch, and for the team that blew it all, it is a choke. While this seems like a pretty solid definition, oftentimes, reacting to both the winning team and the team who blew it, people describe this situation as one of these adjectives instead of both of them separately. Today, I will aim to define what the difference between these two terms are, provide you with some examples, and hopefully clear some things up. Let's begin. Now, if you're wondering why I wanted to make this video, let's be clear. As mentioned previously, I'm well immersed in the world of Call of Duty esports, as well as Smash Bros esports. I'm a huge fan for everything COD though, first and foremost. Something that has always annoyed me whenever I walk in on a COD Twitch stream, it's the Twitch chat. And no, it's not for the reasons that you're thinking, because most people associate Twitch chat with that kind of like weird culture that only exists on Twitch, and sometimes Twitch chat can be super toxic. That's not the reason why. To be frank, I don't really care about either of those two reasons. Yeah, they exist, yeah, they're problems, but what really bugs me is when viewers of Call of Duty tournaments chime in on what just happened with the most inaccurate and bogus statements ever. And this can likely be attributed to the fact that many of these players maybe did not play at a competitive level like I did. However, it still annoys the living hell out of me. Call of Duty is no stranger to insane moments, but oftentimes these insane moments are labeled as chokes by the crowd instead of clutches. Trust me, go and watch any Call of Duty League CDL major event and look at the chat for just like 2 to 3 minutes and you will just see it littered over and over again with the word choke in all capitals. With that in mind, let's begin with choke. A choke is when you mess up. A choke is when odds are undeniably in your favor and you find a way to mess it up. Looking at the flip side, a clutch is when the odds are forever lost and you can't find them, and yet somehow, in defiance of God and all things that are holy, you manage to pull it off. Now, if you're smart, you'll think about this for one moment and realize what I just said is basically the same thing, just from two sides of the coin. Whenever a crazy moment like this happens in esports, one party is always initiating some sort of crazy comeback and the other party is always losing what they had. In every moment, there will always be a choke and a clutch simultaneously. So if that's the case, how do you know what to call what situation? If every moment both possesses these adjectives, then can a moment really be one over the other? I believe that the clear differentiating factor is if the positive outcome, meaning the clutch, is so immaculate and impressive that it takes away from the fact that someone else blew what they had, meaning the choke. Well, let's look at some examples. To define clutch, let's look at arguably the most famous FGC clip of all time. At EVO 2004, Justin Wong versus Daigo played an incredibly close set of Street Fighter. In this clip, Justin, who is using Chun-Li, activates the character's strongest ability, which is a flurry of kicks sent at Daigo, who is playing Ken. Daigo expertly blocks each individual kick and the pursuing attacks following the special move. Then he follows up with his own incredible combo to win the game. This is a clutch. When we look at this clip a little bit slower, some things are made clear. For starters, looking at Ken's health bar, it is evident that any hit will kill him. Chun-Li then activates an incredibly strong move which requires nearly frame-perfect inputs to block. For those unfamiliar with fighting games, many of them have some sort of full charge ability, a super move, a special, a smash, whatever you want to call it, and Street Fighter is no exception. Throughout the game, characters charge these special moves and they are insanely strong. That's why typically they only get used once a match. So Justin, Chun-Li, activates an incredibly strong, powerful move which requires nearly frame-perfect inputs to block. With the odds so ever stacked against him, Daigo was forced to make every single decision flawlessly while under immense pressure, both technically speaking in regards to the game inputs and given the circumstances of not only the in-game health bar but the fact that you're playing at EVO. Given that Daigo's actions were executed flawlessly, Justin's advantage state in the match is not classified as a choke, but Daigo's actions are a clutch. Now let's look at the opposite. In winners semifinals in Call of Duty Champs 2017, E United played Envious for a spot in winners finals. Just to be clear, Call of Duty Champs is the biggest Call of Duty tournament throughout the entire year. Prize pools for Call of Duty Champs often exceed millions of dollars, and it is a big deal to get that ring. The game is Infinite Warfare, and the game mode is Uplink. Uplink is a game mode where teams compete to maintain control of a satellite drone. When holding the drone, players attempt to throw or run the drone into the enemy uplink station to score points. From an outside perspective, basically think of this game as basketball. E United is a top 10 points to 0. For some context, throwing the drone grants 1 point, and running the drone into the uplink station for a slam dunk-like affair is 2 points. Something to note, scoring more than 10 points in an uplink game at the top level of play is unheard of. In this particular game mode, both teams' combined score usually doesn't exceed 8. After the first 5-minute half and 2 minutes into the second half, Envious does the unthinkable and scores 12 unanswered points to win the game. Now, this is a choke. Analyzing this clip and understanding the inner workings of the game mode, a few things are clear. For starters, the game lasts for 10 minutes, permitting there is no overtime round, which is in the case of a tie. E United scores their 10 points in just under 6 minutes. There is 1 minute of downtime in which neither team scores. With only 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, which is half the time it took E United, mind you, Envious scores even more points, collecting 12 points total to win the game. As mentioned earlier, this kind of scoreline is absolutely insane in Uplink, as most teams playing don't actually exceed the 8-point mark. E United already had a commanding lead with 10 on the board, which is more than enough to win a game. Not to mention, E United had access to score streaks, which provide a huge advantage in Call of Duty games. With less than half of the game to go, E United simply had to play passively, use their score streaks effectively, and wait out the clock, which could be done intentionally by resetting the drone, which is a method in which players throw the drone out of bounds intentionally as there is a respawn delay. While it is incredibly impressive that Envious scored even more points in almost half the time, the advantage state of E United was too strong to declare this a clutch. The difference between this Call of Duty clip and the Street Fighter clip from earlier is that unlike Daigo, Envious did not play perfectly to secure the win. E United helped them along by not utilizing their advantage state properly. On the contrary, Justin applied immense pressure and selected an incredibly smart option which could only be countered by insane technical skill and maybe a little bit of luck. E United had every tool in their arsenal to complete the match as the victor, but sloppy play enabled Envious to come back. The difference between a choke and a clutch? Daigo outclassed his opponent with his back against the ropes, and E United played themselves to grant their opponents a victory. With all that out of the way, I hoped I cleared some of this up. Frankly, this has just annoyed me so much, and I wanted to make a video on it. If you guys like this esports content, please let me know, because esports is basically part of my life at this point. I'm like part student, I'm part athlete, and I'm a part esports fanatic. As much as I love the whole like normal YouTube stuff that I do, it's kind of nice to step into a new realm that's not familiar to this channel. So if it's something that you guys enjoy, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'd be happy to make more esports videos. With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop a like down below, subscribe if you have not, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.